How did you get to an orphanage?
My father died when I was 4 years old, and my mother was deprived of parental rights. I once met her, but my efforts to connect with her were completely in vain. She hasn't changed at all. She just keeps drinking.
I ended up in an orphanage when I was around 2 years old, so I was raised there and spent my childhood there. I have a sister and a brother, and we still keep in touch. We grew up together, but in different orphanages. My father came to Belarus after his service in the army and met my mother. He is Uzbek, and my mother is Belarusian. She used to be a doctor. After my siblings and I were born, our father disappeared into thin air. Afterwards, my mother was deprived of parental rights for health reasons. She was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. She's disabled. My mother was sent to a residential facility for adults, or something like that. I don't remember the exact name. I was sent to an orphanage when I was 6 years old. I was growing up in a family without a father, just my mother and sisters. We had a 3-bedroom apartment, and I lived there until I turned 6. I didn't get enough attention during my childhood. There were moments when I wasn't fed at home, and there was an old lady, our neighbor, and she fed me. And when the guardians came to see how I lived, they decided that the conditions were unsuitable for children. Every day there were boozes and scandals, and that's why they took me away.
I ended up in an orphanage in 1995. I was 9 years old at that time. Our family was quite big. I had 5 sisters, we lived in a village. Unfortunately, my family was dysfunctional. My parents drank alcohol all the time, and in the end, they were deprived of parental rights.
Tell about your life in the orphanage.
I got good marks at school. I studied well, I had long hair. I came to an orphanage being a perfect child. At first, everyone there hated me because I was a good student, I had a normal appearance and didn't use bad language. The children were very cruel to me. Sometimes I was given thrashings. They could cover me with a blanket and start punching and kicking me. Once, a girl hit me in the face just because I didn't share an apple with her. My life in an orphanage left only good impressions. The atmosphere there was rather nice. We traveled a lot. Every year we went to summer camps. Children were often sent to other countries, for example to Italy, Sweden, Germany. They were taken to families.
The food in my orphanage was not the best. Sometimes we didn't even have enough, not to mention clothes. What they give you is what you wear. Sometimes you have to wear used clothing. You live in a group of 20 people. You have a Belarusian surname and a Belarusian passport, but you have different color skin and hair, and also a strange name. And they call you bad names. I don't think you need to hear how exactly. Children used to steal stuff. I tried to save money and they stole it. The state allocated money to us. It was called children's money. We were given around 90 cents per month, just so we don't forget what money looks like. Once a month, we had to sign papers that we got this money. How did you feel before leaving the orphanage? I wanted to leave that place. There was such an atmosphere in the orphanage that I felt joy when it was all finally over.
I really wanted to run away as fast as possible, though I was a little scared about what awaits me out there in the real world. You are given the status that you are from an orphanage, that you are an orphan, that you don't have parents, that people will point fingers at you. In our society, there is an opinion that if you are raised in an orphanage, then you are hopeless and good for nothing. And your whole life, you are afraid that you will be equated with other orphans. Nobody believes in you that you can become a successful person, that you can achieve everything without anyone's help.
Did you have a prom?
I didn't have a special prom when I was leaving the orphanage. I just packed all my things on the day I found out that I had entered the college and left very late at night, and that was it. We had a graduation ceremony, and after that, we just gathered with my class and made a prom ourselves. We went to the lake in the evening, sat around it for a while, and then walked around all night. I had a real prom after college and after university.
My graduation was very ordinary. Every year they tried to find someone to perform at the concert, but every year it was getting poorer and poorer. and I treated it like a regular concert. It meant nothing special to me. No one was worried about the suits, although we were all told to wear them and to bring flowers. A student from Turkmenistan helped me. He studied here. He's a well-known fashion designer in Belarus. We met when I was 15 years old. He made me a cool fitted tuxedo with a bow tie. So at the graduation ceremony, I had one of the best suits. What was the hardest at first? When I got a scholarship, I don't remember the exact sum, but I think it was about $75. It was very difficult to survive having so little. I somehow spent all the money within just 2 weeks. During my college years, and after college, I was addicted to alcohol and smoking. It's extremely hard to break the habit. When something bad happens, like when you get depressed, it's hard to hold on and deal with everything. I felt like I just wanted to buy beer and get drunk.
At first, it was very difficult being on your own. You live in a dormitory and almost everyone's gone to their parents for the weekend. But you have nowhere to go. And you sit alone in your room, just thinking about what to do.
When I entered the college, I didn't go there on the first ceremonial day just because I didn't have a dress shirt. The orphanage gave me a plate, a spoon, and a towel, and they said, "That's it, bro. Good luck to you." When I graduated and left the orphanage in 2016, I received an allowance. It was around $90. Imagine you come to an unknown place, you have no money, you have no clothes, you have no food. Scholarship is at the end of the month. You only have $90 for a month, and that's it. There's nothing else, absolutely nothing. Let's say someone came from Italy. Well, even if he comes from Italy, he's not going to bring an iron and a kettle with him. But nobody cares about that. I decided to go to a social center. There they said to me, "Well, you got your money, those $90, now go find a job." And how can one work when he studies full-time and has 4 classes every day? Where did you study? After 9th grade, I got accepted to Minsk State Technological College, and I studied there. My major was food industry. After graduating, I got 3 professions: semi-finished product maker, tenant, and minced meat maker.
People tried to convince me that I shouldn't even try to enter the construction faculty, that I would not pass the exams. They told me that I should choose the faculty with no entrance exams so that I would be easily accepted there. But I didn't listen to them and decided to go where I wanted to. I went to college, got a room in dormitory, made plenty of friends. We often hung out and spent a lot of time together. It was a good company, no one had any bad habits. I entered the Polytechnic College. Somebody just suggested that I should go there. I thought, why not? And so I went. At that time, there was a specialty called Technician Specialized in Processing of Vegetable Raw Materials. And it was my profession. It is connected with grain and processing.
I graduated from the construction college. I'm not particularly proud of it, and I'm not going to stop here. There are a number of questions and nuances regarding my further education. I want to go to university. It is definitely in my future plans. Because all my relatives, including my sister and brother, who also grew up in an orphanage, have a degree. My sister even has 2 degrees. How did you manage a household?
When I arrived at the dormitory, I knew absolutely nothing. I didn't know how to cook because we weren't taught in the orphanage. There were cooking classes, but there we just made some wow dishes. We didn't learn how to cook simple pasta or other ordinary dishes. There was no way for us to go to the kitchen and try cooking something ourselves. I didn't know how to do the laundry because there was a washerwoman in the orphanage. We just put all our dirty clothes in a heap and gave it to her. But I lived with a girl, I watched what she did and repeated. Generally, it was not difficult. When I came to the dormitory, I brought with me only the most necessary things. Some of them I was given in the orphanage, for example, a spoon, a mug, a plate. It is really important to think over what you need at first. What are the major essentials? Because you can come with a towel and underwear and you will have nothing else. Of course, I didn't know how to cook. Although from time to time volunteers came to our orphanage and we had cooking classes. They taught us some basics and it was rather helpful. But when an adult explains something to you, and you do everything with him. It seems very simple, but afterwards it turns out to be difficult when you try doing it on your own. You're afraid to cook even a simple pasta because you don't know how.
Did you have problems at work? When I had my first job, I was constantly overworked. I could be at work for 2 days straight and then just say, I'm too tired, I want to go home. Once I stupidly lost my job and my place in a dormitory. I do admit it was my own fault. After that, I came to the social center and asked for help because I didn't know what to do and where to go. I didn't have the residence permit and I had no job, and they helped me get a job and helped me with accommodation, and I've been living in that dormitory for 6 months already.
At first, it was extremely difficult. In addition to my classes in college, I worked part-time as a merchandiser. Once I was deceived about the salary, I was paid only $45 instead of $150 that I was promised. After college, I got a job at the Academy of Arts. At that time, I thought I was lucky because I was the only one among students in my year to be distributed by profession. My profession is a building technician. However, now I regret having chosen it. It would have been better to study to be a plasterer or a painter because I would make more money. At the Academy of Arts, my salary before taxes was only $125, and it turned out that I didn't have to work there after graduation, but nobody told me about that. Then I used to work as a seamstress, now I'm a photographer. I want to try my hand at everything.
Were there any problems with accommodation? Oh, when it comes to accommodation, this is an absolutely tragic story. I needed to fight for it, and I'm still fighting. My brother and sister have already got accommodation. According to the law, I must have got an apartment before graduation, but for some reason the process was frozen, and I've been waiting since 2004, and till this day I still don't have my own place. On the day when I graduated from college, they evicted me from the dormitory, and I went to live with my brother. Actually, I wasn't supposed to get an apartment because some of my relatives, my mother, aunt, and I think some others, owed the state a lot of money. And it was a huge sum and no one paid it, so the state didn't provide me accommodation. But thankfully, my cousin helped me to be put on the waiting list and get a place in a hostel.
I did get an apartment, admittedly, almost through legal action. One of my relatives dealt with this. He told me he had to go to court, and he barely managed to obtain this apartment for me.
Is it true that guys raised in an orphanage always want the whole life handed to them? Everybody is different. Yeah, at first I wanted to live like that. I wanted everything handed to me on a plate, and I didn't want to work for it. But over the years, this has changed. Now I know that that won't happen, and that I have to build a life on my own. I want to work, and I want to earn my own money. When I left the orphanage, for the first 6 months, I thought that even though they fed me terribly, I would gladly have eaten such a meal now. 6 months later, I realized that the freedom I gained after I left the place was invaluable.
I do not think that someone owes me something. On the contrary, I always try to do everything myself. I even made a crib for my child myself out of boards and plywood. So I usually don't even have the courage to ask someone for help.
Who can you ask for help if life gets too hard?
When my baby was born, the first month was absolute hell, to be quite honest. There was no mother or grandmother nearby who could give advice, help me with anything, teach me how to do stuff, say what is the right thing to do. Unfortunately, I was not lucky with my husband. Now I have an application for moms on my phone. There you can ask for advice and they will always support you and help you with everything.
Sometimes I go to my friends when things get tough. We talk and hang out, go for walks together. But now I mostly ask God for help. Every day I see how He changes my life little by little. I have nobody. You are all alone. Nobody will give you money. You have no one to call. You must work, and then work again. Advise something to those who are leaving the orphanage soon.
The state will not hold you by the hand throughout your whole life. So you have to make decisions on your own. For example, you need to think about how to allocate the budget properly. People always have trouble with this after leaving an orphanage. You have to learn how to buy only things you really need and not waste your money left and right. Because if you don't learn these things, life can become very difficult and there is no one to ask for help. I think the most important thing after living in an orphanage is to surround yourself with good people. I understand that you finally feel free and this freedom seems very cool at first, but it is important to stop in time and think about your life. You should realize that now everything depends only on you, that there will be no more people who wash your laundry and cook for you. Now you have to take responsibility for your life.
You need to decide what you truly need and what you want to do with your life. The guys who leave the orphanages are full of fears. Nobody needs them in the world. They need motivation. You grew up in an orphanage and you have no parents. Do you want the same life for your children? And often it is the same. It's like a vicious cycle. My advice is to work. I believe that's the most important thing. Because I had moments when I thought, what am I doing this for? What's the point? But that's just how life works. And if you want to get $100 a month, good luck. Work hard, guys.